The weapon descends. The Galactic Council chamber floated in the void between stars. A structure so ancient that younger species whispered it had witnessed the birth of galaxies. Today its crystalline walls hummed with a decision that would reshape everything. "The matter is settled," announced Executor Vrath, his 4 eyes glowing with cold certainty. His species had ruled for 10,000 years. To him, humanity was barely a footnote in galactic history. Earth has rejected our terms. They refuse to yield their weapons. They refuse to kneel. Around the circular chamber, representatives from 40 species nodded in agreement. The insectoid Threx clicked their mandibles in approval. The gaseous Veilborn pulsed with satisfaction. Even the peaceful Irathi, known for their wisdom, remained silent. "Then we teach them," Vrath continued, "what happens when children play with fire." He raised one clawed hand. Above the assembly, a hologram materialized, a sleek cylinder no larger than a human transport vehicle. It looked almost peaceful, drifting through the projection with gentle grace. But every being in that chamber knew what it truly was: the entropy hammer. A weapon so terrible that it had been used only twice in recorded history. Both times, entire civilizations had vanished. Not destroyed, erased. The device didn't explode. It didn't burn. It simply unmade matter itself, spreading a field of accelerated entropy that caused atoms to forget how to hold together. "We will target their city called New York," Vrath declared. 8 million souls. When they watch their greatest metropolis dissolve into cosmic dust, they will understand their place. "And if they attempt to evacuate?" asked a junior Irathi delegate, her voice trembling slightly. Vrath's expression didn't change. "Then they will understand faster." The vote was unanimous. 3 hours later, the weapon was deployed. On Earth, Admiral Marcus Webb stood in the Crisis Command Center beneath the Rocky Mountains, watching the countdown that might mark humanity's extinction. 18 hours until impact, reported Lieutenant Commander Hayes, her voice steady despite the pale terror in her eyes. Trajectory confirmed. Manhattan, New York City. Around Webb, holographic displays showed the weapon's path. A perfect arc that would bring it screaming through Earth's atmosphere at a velocity that made interception nearly impossible. Nearly, but not quite. That tiny word carried all of humanity's hope. "Status of the Prometheus project?" Webb asked, turning to Dr. Sarah Chen, the physicist who had once told him that what the Council was sending was theoretically unstoppable. Sarah's exhausted face was illuminated by the glow of calculations that had kept her awake for 72 hours straight. "The magnetic containment field is ready. The quantum dampeners are online. The energy requirements," she hesitated, "will drain every power grid on Earth simultaneously. Will it work?" Sarah met his eyes. In that moment, Webb saw something he'd rarely witnessed in the brilliant scientist. Uncertainty mixed with something fiercer. Determination. "Admiral, in all my years studying physics, I learned one absolute truth. Entropy always wins. That weapon out there, it's entropy weaponized. It's the heat death of the universe concentrated into a single point. By every law of physics, I know we can't stop it. But," Webb prompted because he heard the word hanging in the air between them. "But," Sarah smiled, tired and fierce. "Humans have never been good at accepting what we can't do. Every law I mentioned, we didn't discover them. We challenged them. We split atoms that were supposed to be indivisible. We left a planet that was supposed to be our limit. We're going to try to catch death itself, and either we'll succeed or we'll fail so spectacularly that the galaxy will talk about it for millennia." Webb allowed himself a tight smile. "I'll take those odds." Around the world, humanity moved with purpose that would have seemed chaotic to any alien observer. In reality, it was coordination born from necessity, 8 billion people united by a single impossible goal. In Tokyo, engineers rerouted power from entire districts. In Geneva, the particle collider at CERN spun up to generate exotic particles needed for the containment field. In São Paulo, Mumbai, Lagos, Sydney, in every city that could spare energy, people voluntarily sat in darkness so that one light might keep burning, the light of human defiance. Above Earth, the makeshift defense platform hung like a prayer made of metal and mathematics. It had been assembled in 48 hours using every orbital asset humanity possessed: space stations, satellites, the skeletal remains of ships being built for journeys to distant worlds. Now it served one purpose: to catch the uncatchable. 15 hours, Hayes announced. Webb thought about his daughter in Seattle, probably watching the news with the same mix of fear and hope he felt. He thought about every person on Earth who had chosen to stand rather than flee, to fight rather than surrender. Send the message, he ordered quietly. Full broadcast, all channels. Let the council hear this, Hayes nodded, opening the communication channels that would carry humanity's response across the stars. Webb's voice was calm, measured, absolutely certain. This is Admiral Marcus Webb of Earth Defense Command to the Galactic Council. We received your lesson. Here's ours. Humanity doesn't break. We don't bow. You sent us death. Watch us make it stronger. Across the galaxy, in chambers of power and on worlds that had long ago learned to fear the Council, beings stopped what they were doing. They listened. They watched, and high above Earth, the entropy hammer descended, indifferent and unstoppable, carrying oblivion in its core, unaware that it was about to encounter something no calculation had prepared it for. Human stubbornness. Catching fire. The weapon fell through the dark like a judge's hammer, silent and absolute. In the Council's observation chamber, Executor Vrath watched Earth's frantic preparations with detached curiosity. Around him, representatives from 40 species had gathered to witness what they believed would be a quick lesson in cosmic hierarchy. Refreshments had been served. Bets had been placed on exactly when the humans would begin evacuating. They're not running, observed the Threx ambassador, mandibles clicking with confusion. Why aren't they running? Vrath's four eyes narrowed as he studied the data. Pride, stupidity, it makes no difference. Watch, but even he couldn't hide the slight uncertainty in his voice as he observed what humanity was building above their planet, a structure that made no tactical sense, held together by what appeared to be desperation and welding. 12 hours to impact, announced the chamber's AI, its voice devoid of emotion. On Earth, in a bunker beneath Geneva, Dr. Sarah Chen was arguing with physics itself. The numbers don't work, shouted Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, his hands shaking as he pointed at the simulation. Even if we generate enough power, even if the magnetic field holds, the entropy cascade will overwhelm the containment in 3.7 seconds. We'd need to reverse entropy, Sarah finished quietly. I know, the room fell silent. 20 of humanity's greatest minds stared at her with expressions that ranged from disbelief to dawning horror. That's impossible, Dr. Yuki Tanaka whispered. It's not just impossible, it's definitionally impossible. You can't reverse entropy. It's the second law of thermodynamics. It's like trying to unburn a fire. Sarah pulled up a new set of calculations, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. You're right. We can't reverse entropy, but we don't need to. She highlighted a section of complex equations. We just need to give it somewhere to go. I don't understand, Rodriguez said. Sarah's smile was sharp with the kind of madness that only sleep-deprived genius could produce. The weapon doesn't destroy matter. It accelerates entropy locally. Think of it like a drain. Now what happens if you give that drain a bigger pool to work with? Understanding bloomed across Tanaka's face. You want to feed it, not just feed it, drown it. Sarah's hands moved faster, building the model in real time. We can't stop the entropy field from expanding, but we can give it so much matter in such a controlled way that we direct its expansion, channel it, contain it within a magnetic bottle. And then, Sarah met their eyes. And then we have a controlled entropy field. A contained weapon. One we can study, understand, maybe even... She paused. Use. The implications hung in the air like electricity before a storm. That's insane, Rodriguez breathed. But he was already pulling up his own calculations, checking her math. That's completely, absolutely, possibly insane enough to work. Admiral Webb's voice cut through the communications channel. Dr. Chen, we're receiving telemetry from the Council's observation post. They're watching us. Good, Sarah said, not looking up from her work. Let them watch. Upload the new protocols to the Prometheus platform. We're changing the game plan. Changing it to what? Sarah's expression could have melted steel. We're not stopping their weapon, Admiral. We're catching it. And we're keeping it. 9 hours before impact, the crew of the Prometheus platform received their updated orders with reactions that ranged from terror to exhilaration. Commander Jennifer Park read the instructions 3 times, certain there must be an error. Ma'am, these protocols were essentially building a bottle to catch lightning, except the lightning is the heat death of the universe, and the bottle is made of mathematics and hope. Over the video link, Sarah nodded. That's accurate. I just wanted to make sure I understood before I asked my crew to do the impossible. Commander. Sarah's voice was gentle but firm. Your crew signed up to defend Earth right now. Defense means catching a weapon that has erased civilizations. It means doing something no species in galactic history has attempted. It means looking at death and saying, not today. Park was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled, a fierce, proud expression. When you put it that way, Doctor, it sounds exactly like something humans would do. Around the platform, her crew of 73 souls from 26 nations began their work. They didn't speak much. There wasn't time for speeches or sentiment. But as Captain Vladimir Petrov from Russia worked alongside Dr. Amara Okonkwo from Nigeria, as Lieutenant Sung-Min Park from Korea coordinated with Specialist Maria Gonzalez from Mexico, something invisible but powerful flowed between them. Not just cooperation, unity. The kind of unity that only exists when facing extinction together. 5 hours, announced the ship's AI. On Earth below, cities went dark. Not from destruction, but from choice. 8 billion people shut off their lights, their devices, their comforts. Every watt of power, every joule of energy was redirected upward to the platform that hung between them and oblivion. In the darkness, people gathered. In parks and squares, on rooftops and beaches. They held their children, they held each other. And they looked up at the stars where, invisible to their eyes but present in their hearts, their defenders worked miracles. In the council chamber, Executor Vrath watched the power readings with growing unease. What are they doing? He muttered, his 4 eyes widening. That's their entire planetary grid. They're routing everything to, the holographic display updated. The Prometheus platform blazed with energy that shouldn't have been possible for a species so young. Around it, space itself began to shimmer as magnetic fields of unprecedented strength warped the fabric of reality. They're going to try to catch it, whispered an Irathi elder, her voice filled with awe. By the first light. They're actually going to try. Impossible, Vrath said, but his voice lacked conviction. They'll fail. The weapon will activate on contact and their platform will be the first thing erased. But he didn't look away from the screen. None of them did. Because across the galaxy, on worlds that had bent knee to the Council, on ships that had fled from Council judgment, beings watched with something they hadn't felt in centuries. Hope. 2 hours, announced the AI. On the Prometheus platform, Commander Park took a deep breath and opened the ship-wide channel. All stations, this is Park, we are go for intercept. Remember, we're not just defending Earth today. We're showing the galaxy what humans do when someone tells us something is impossible. She paused, then added with a slight smile. We proved them wrong. All hands to stations. Let's catch ourselves a nightmare. As the crew moved into position, as Earth held its breath, as the galaxy watched in suspended disbelief, the entropy hammer fell toward its destiny, unaware that it was about to become not a weapon of human destruction, but a symbol of human defiance. 1 hour remained. Death becomes us 30 minutes before impact. The Prometheus platform hung in the silence of space like a prayer made of metal and mathematics. Commander Jennifer Park's hands were steady on the controls, though her heart hammered against her ribs like it was trying to escape. Around her, 73 souls worked with the precision of a symphony. Each movement deliberate, each breath counted. Magnetic containment at maximum, reported Lieutenant Chen Wei, his voice calm despite the impossible thing they were about to attempt. Power draw is stable. Earth's grid is holding. Park thought about that. 8 billion people sitting in voluntary darkness so this moment could happen. No riots, no panic, just humanity, united by the simple decision that they would not go quietly into the void. Target acquired, announced Dr. Okonkwo from the sensor station. Impact in 28 minutes, 17 seconds. On every screen, the entropy hammer grew larger, a sleek cylinder of death that had erased entire worlds. Park could feel her crew's fear. She shared it. But beneath the fear was something fiercer. Defiance. All stations, final systems check, Park ordered. By the numbers. One by one, her crew called out confirmations. Power systems. Containment fields, quantum dampeners. Every backup system humanity had managed to create in 72 hours of desperate ingenuity. On Earth below, in the Crisis Command Center, Admiral Webb watched the feed with a stillness that belied the storm in his chest. Beside him, Dr. Sarah Chen's hands moved across holographic displays, making last-second calculations that might mean the difference between catching a weapon and being erased by it. "The math holds," she muttered, more to herself than anyone else. "It has to hold. It will hold." 15 minutes, announced Lieutenant Hayes. Webb activated the global broadcast channel one final time. His voice, when it came, was steady, a rock in the hurricane. "This is Admiral Webb to all of Earth. In 14 minutes we will know if humanity's greatest gamble succeeds or fails. But regardless of the outcome, I want you to know something. We didn't run. We didn't hide. We stood together and said no to fear." He paused, and when he continued, his voice carried a weight that transcended words. "Whatever happens next, be proud. Be proud that we tried. Be proud that we're human." In the council chamber, Executor Vrath stood rigid as stone, his four eyes locked on displays that showed something he had never expected to see. A species too young to know better, trying the impossible. 10 minutes to impact, the chamber AI announced. "Humans are proceeding with interception." "They're going to die," Vrath said, but the certainty had left his voice. Around him, 40 species watched in silence, some with anticipation, others with something that looked disturbingly like hope. The Threx ambassador clicked thoughtfully. "Perhaps. But they're dying on their feet, weapons ready. When did we last see that?" One answered. 5 minutes. On the Prometheus platform, Commander Park felt time crystallize into perfect clarity. Every surface, every light, every face of her crew was etched into her memory with razor sharpness. "Initiating magnetic containment field," she announced. Phase 1. The platform hummed with power as fields of force erupted into space. Invisible lines of magnetic strength forming a bottle with no bottom, a trap with no walls, a cage made of nothing but mathematics and human stubborn refusal to accept defeat. "Field stable, Mike," reported Chen Wei. "Drawing power at 97% capacity. On Earth, across every continent, lights flickered. Power grids screamed in protest. But they held. 3 minutes, Dr. Okonkwo said quietly. Park opened the crew channel. "I won't lie to you. We're about to try catching something that unmakes matter. If this fails, we won't feel it. We'll simply stop." She let that sink in before continuing. "But if it succeeds, we'll have done something no species in the galaxy has ever accomplished. We'll have taken their weapon of extinction and made it ours." She smiled, fierce and proud. "Either way, it's been an honor serving with you all." "Honor's ours, Commander," came Petrov's gruff reply, echoed by murmurs of agreement. 2 minutes. Final checks. Sarah Chen's voice crackled through from Earth. "Prometheus, this is Chen. The calculations are solid. Trust the math. Trust each other. You can do this." 1 minute. The entropy hammer filled their screens now, close enough to see the subtle corona of distorted space around it, reality itself recoiling from what the weapon carried. Park's hands hovered over the final activation sequence. 30 seconds. All hands brace for containment. On Earth, in cities gone dark, 8 billion people looked up. Some prayed. Some simply hoped. All of them waited. 10 seconds. In the council chamber, even Vrath leaned forward. 5 and 4, 3. The Prometheus platform blazed with power that made stars look dim. 2, 1, intercept. What happened next would be debated by physicists and philosophers for generations. The entropy hammer entered the containment field at exactly 11:47 GMT. For a microsecond, nothing changed. Then space itself screamed. The weapon's entropy field expanded as designed, reaching out to unmake matter, to erase reality, to bring the heat death of the universe to one small corner of Earth's sky. But instead of empty space, it found something waiting. The magnetic bottle didn't stop the entropy field. That was impossible. Instead, it gave the field exactly what it wanted. Matter to consume, energy to disperse, order to unmake. But that matter was fed in precise amounts. Controlled flows, mathematical perfection. The weapon, designed to expand uncontrollably until entire cities dissolved, found itself caught in a feedback loop of humanity's creation. Every atom it unmade was replaced by exactly enough energy to sustain the containment field. Every burst of entropy was channeled, directed, controlled. On the Prometheus platform, alarms screamed. Warning lights painted the bridge red. The structure groaned under forces that should have torn it apart. Containment at 140% stress, Chenwei shouted. Field integrity at 82% and holding. Feed it more, Park ordered, her voice cutting through the chaos. Don't let it starve, give it exactly what Chen's protocols specify. On Earth, the power draw spiked so high that transformers exploded in showers of sparks across 12 countries. But humanity had planned for this. Backup systems kicked in, alternative grids activated. The power flow held, entropy field stabilizing. Dr. Okonkwo's voice was shaking. Commander, I think it's working. In the containment field, death itself was trapped, still active, still hungry, but imprisoned by nothing more than human understanding of physics and refusal to accept the impossible. Field integrity at 79%, Chenwei reported.
Stable, holding,
We've done it. We've caught it. For a moment, no one moved. No one breathed. Then Commander Park allowed herself the smallest of smiles. Prometheus to Earth Command. Target secured. Repeat, we have containment. The entropy hammer is ours. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Vrath stared at the displays showing the impossible. The entropy hammer, weapon of extinction, trapped in a cage of human engineering. Around him, delegates from 40 species were shouting, demanding explanations, some backing away from the screens as if the feed itself might be contagious. They caught it, whispered the Arathi elder, her voice filled with awe. The absolute madness. They actually caught it. Impossible, Vrath repeated, but the word had lost all meaning. He was watching impossible happen in real time. On the main display, Admiral Webb's face appeared. His expression was calm, patient, and absolutely terrifyingly certain. Executor Vrath, Webb said, his voice carrying to every corner of the council chamber. We've received your lesson. We've caught your death machine. We've contained it, studied it, and now we understand it. He leaned forward slightly. Here's what happens next. You're going to recall any other lessons you had planned for Earth. You're going to sit down and negotiate with us, as equals. And if you ever threaten our world again, Webb smiled. It was not a kind expression. We'll send your own weapon back to you, and we'll have had decades to make it better. The transmission ended. In the silence that followed, Vrath slowly sat down. Around him, the greatest powers in the galaxy, species that had ruled for millennia, were confronted with a truth that changed everything. Humanity had looked at extinction and said no. They had taken death itself and made it their shield, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. 6 months later, Dr. Sarah Chen stood in what had once been called the Prometheus platform and was now officially designated Earth Defense. Station 1, the entropy hammer, humanity's prize and warning, was contained in a field of pure energy that glowed like a captured star. Around it, scientists from 20 nations worked to understand what they had caught. Admiral Webb joined her at the observation window. The council has sent another delegation. Requesting formal negotiations, requesting. Sarah raised an eyebrow. Not demanding. Times change, Webb said with dry humor. Turns out catching the uncatchable makes people polite. Sarah looked out at Earth below, at the planet that had gone dark so that one light could keep burning. We nearly died, you know. The simulations I ran afterward. We had a 33% chance of success. But we succeeded. We did. Sarah's smile was tired and fierce. We looked at death and made it ours. Not bad for a species the galaxy thought was too young to matter. Webb nodded, then asked quietly, was it worth it? The risk? Sarah thought about the entropy hammer trapped and tamed, about humanity's new place in galactic politics, about the message they'd sent to every species in the stars. Earth would not kneel. Ask me again when we've turned that weapon into a power source, she said. Because if we could catch death itself, imagine what else we can do. As they left the observation deck, the contained entropy field pulsed with steady light, a constant reminder of the day humanity caught fire and refused to let go, the day they sent death to Earth, and Earth made it stronger. The end.